A mirror is supposed to be glass with a thin coat of silver. Mine looks older than that, taller than me, heavy as a door. The frame carved into twisting vines the color of tired gold, the kind of thing that seems to remember whoever stands before it. My name is Adam. I work in IT. I enjoy writing clean codes, predictable builds, and quiet rooms. I bought the mirror because the price was wrong. It was too low for something that's solid. And another thing is, because the seller said, half laughing, it shows what's really there. I hauled it home and leaned it against my bedroom wall. That first night, I saw a man inside it. Not my reflection, but someone in a room almost identical to mine. Same bed, same curtains, same desk. He sat reading, head bowed, hair pushed behind one ear. I lifted my hand. He didn't lift his. I said hello. He turned a page and kept reading. Looks like he didn't notice me. I told myself the glass was warped. Then morning came, and the night after that, and the one after, he was always there. He drank from a glass. He rubbed the bridge of his nose when he concentrated. Sometimes, just for a second, he looked straight at me. I never saw myself in that mirror. When I looked at it, it's only him in the mirror. I started writing notes down. That's my observation on the man in the mirror, and I call him Mirror Man. Sounds silly to nickname him that way, but that's how I make the world behave. Here's my note. Day 1, he's reading. Turns a page every 15 to 20 seconds. Day 2, looks up 7:20. Drinks from clear glass. The residue appears to be white. Day 3, there's a black jacket on chair, and I don't have a jacket. We couldn't communicate. Anything I wrote, hello, who are you, can you see me, collapse into random letters that I swear no one can read on the glass, as if an invisible hand messed it up, purposely. Sometimes he wrote too. His words broke the same way. So we used bodies instead. Slow gestures, a nod, a hand laid flat to the glass, or even an eye contact. When I pressed my palm to the surface, I felt cold and the faintest resistance, as if a palm met mine from the other side. It should have frightened me. Mostly it felt like standing at a window, watching a neighbor live. He didn't mirror me. That mattered. If I slid my hand left, he slid left. Not reversed, aligned. We weren't reflection and reflected. We were two people doing the same motion in the same direction, thin glass between. At work, I wrote a cash policy and forgot my coffee. On the way home, I bought a new bulb for the bedroom lamp. When I screwed it in, my room brightened. In the mirror, his room brightened too. Just a little, as if some of my light seeped across. That night he drank milk. The sight made my stomach turn. I've hated milk since I was a kid. I added a line to my notes. The mirror shows him, but not me. I never see myself in the mirror, just him, the mirror man, and his room. I tried small experiments. I hung a gray hoodie on my chair. His chair kept its black jacket. I moved my sticky notes from left to right. His stayed left. I swapped my coaster for a moon print circle. His glass left a bare ring on wood. I tore painter's tape and marked 3 ticks on my desk edge. A, B, C. He stared, then tore a darker strip and pressed it halfway between A and B. A neat, almost. I laughed once, to break tension. 3 seconds later he smiled. Thin, dutiful, like completing a required gesture. I fake yawned. He yawned too after a delay. 3, maybe 4 seconds. I logged it, yawned, and then delayed for about 3 to 4 seconds. It felt like logging weather. I tried to film him. I set my phone on a tripod and recorded the mirror while he read, drank, looked up. Playback showed my empty room. Not him, not the twin room. Just bed, desk, lamp. The mirror behaved like a normal mirror for the camera. It returned null. No error. That shook me in a way I didn't admit. My notes became the only proof that the mirror man existed, and my notes looked like the record of someone gently going wrong. One entry bothered me. Center of a page, alone. Here. I didn't remember writing it. The E looked wrong, looser than mine. I circled it and added, "Who wrote this?" That evening I fell asleep on the rug and dreamed of a dark screen waking into a room that was mine and not. A man looked out at me with patient attention. I reached up and turned the screen off. A voice from far away said, "Don't look." I woke with my pen still in hand and the lamp still on. On my page, in a hand not quite mine, wrote, "Don't look." In the mirror, the man sat peacefully, as if he hadn't moved for hours. He disappeared sometimes. I'd glance down to write, and when I looked up, his chair would be empty. The room remained, lit, tidy, ordinary. Once, when I leaned close enough to fog the glass, I heard a sound from the other side. A single breath in, a single breath out, soft as someone listening. He returned moments later, expression smooth, page unlost, like someone who had stepped to the door and come back with nothing. My apartment felt tighter each day, as if the walls had moved one step closer while I was out. I walked room to room and realized I owned no other mirrors. The bathroom cabinet was brushed metal. The elevator steel showed only the elevator and the light. If I stood very close, I would see a smudge that belonged to no one. Rain pressed its palm over the city. I sat with my back to the bed. A crisp sound interrupted the weather, like a fingernail on ice. In the mirror's upper right corner, a hairline crack appeared. It crept an inch, stopped, then crept again. He stood. We faced each other. I touched the crack. It felt cold and faintly damp, as if moisture had gathered inside the glass. He raised his hand and matched my fingers, not mirrored but aligned. Pressure again, more certain this time. I pushed. He held me where I was, not harsh exactly, the way you hold a door closed and meet the other person's hand through it. When I let go, he rested his hand a moment longer and shook his head once. Very small. That night, I dreamed the crack ran like lightning while the floor suffered the same thin line and opened. I fell. As I fell, I saw my own face above me, his face, watching me go. I woke with a line on the page I didn't remember writing. Don't break it. Not my spacing, not quite my strokes. The crack stopped growing after that. I looked harder for differences. He had a small gold-framed picture on his wall, the leafing peeled at the corners. My wall was bare. Whenever I tried to get a clean look, glare found me. I'd shift, he'd lower his head. I'd lean, he'd stand. Something kept tugging my attention away from a forbidden angle. One evening he pointed behind him. I followed his hand and finally saw the gold frame clearly. Something inside me tightened. That frame existed nowhere in my home. His room was not mine. It was only like mine. I walked the apartment to be certain. No second mirror, no trick, no camera ghost. Just the antique mirror, the lamp, the bed, the desk. When I returned, he sat with a pen. He wrote patiently, pressing hard enough to mark the paper. This time the glass didn't chew the letters. I read them cleanly. Hi. I wrote hi back. He studied it as if it were a photograph of someone he used to know. Then he reached toward me and stopped just short of my shoulder. Nothing touched me, and something did. Presence without weight. I realized my safety rested on an assumption I had never tested, that I was outside. I tried to imagine the opposite and felt the ground tilt. If he isn't the one trapped, who is? At the crack's lower end, a tiny fork appeared, a second path beginning. He looked at it with the distant tenderness of someone confirming a plan. We practiced small synchronies. I raised my hand, he raised his. I traced a circle, he traced a circle. I drew an X, he did not follow. I drew a check mark, he did, after a beat. The delay held 3 to 4 seconds, like packets traveling a long line. I stopped timing it, then timed it again. I switched the lamp off. His glow softened a breath later. I switched it on. His brightened after mine. Not causation, permeation. As if my light could seep into his, or his remembered the shape of mine. I recorded one more video for my own sake. The file showed a faithful portrait of my room and a blank mirror. My voice sounded patient and tired, as if addressing someone who wasn't there. Watching it made me feel I had skipped a step in a proof, and, because I couldn't find it, had begun to doubt the proof. I returned to the rug. He watched me watching him. I put my palm to the glass. He matched me. For a long time we didn't move. I wanted a word that would name the structure between us. The throat is a small, unhelpful place. He lowered his hand and pointed, not at me, not at the crack, at my chair. Then he mimed, looking over his shoulder, then pointed at my chair again. He repeated it, slow, like teaching me how to understand the gesture. I turned to follow it, even though it made no sense. I looked at my chair, my desk, my lamp. Nothing where I should have been. The room was exact, angles, light, but the chair was empty. Between those two breaths, something in me finished arranging itself. When the crack finally reached the bottom, I felt its arrival the way you feel pressure before rain. It crossed from corner to corner and stopped, dividing the glass into two clean plates. He approached. I did too. Our fingertips met along the seam. The glass felt like water with a skin. This is it, I thought. I can cross. There was no logic to it, only certainty. I leaned. He leaned. We were a fist's width apart. His other hand rose and settled where my shoulder would be. No weight, only boundary. He looked down at my chest, then up into my eyes, and mouthed a single word I could read without distortion. Look. So I looked. My desk, my chair, my lamp, my notebook open to a page with one word pinned through it like an insect. Here. The chair remained empty. My stomach gave a small, cold twist, as if I had swallowed ice. I turned back. He touched his own face, outlining brow, cheekbones, jaw. It was my face, the one I hadn't seen in weeks. Same lines, same mouth, the same fine tension at the corners of the eyes from too many screens and too little sleep. The face I remember shaving every morning without ever seeing. It wasn't that I had been looking at him through the glass. I had been looking out. He's not the mirror man. I am. He's Adam. I am the mirror man. He stepped back one careful pace, then another. The crack thinned, smoothed, vanished, like a stitch dissolving in skin. The mirror was whole. He returned to his chair. He wrote something I couldn't read, tore the page out, folded it twice and slid it aside. He lifted a glass, drank, set it down. He didn't look at me again. I placed my palm to the glass and felt only cold, ordinary resistance. The room behind it went on with itself. His lamp made a narrow halo. He turned a page. When I finally stepped back, my legs prickled, as if they had been locked in place for a very long time.